People everywhere are starting to listen to him. He's going on French, British, Italian, Japanese television.
This is the Wide World of Weingarten.
Wide World of Weingarten, February 1st. It's Tuesday, just after 4 o'clock here in Los Angeles, as usual. Haven't had to take this show on the road yet. The Series Caribe has just gotten underway, the last game of the day. It's Venezuela versus Dominican Republic. I have it on my my screen to the left here. I don't normally have video going in my office. I don't have a TV. I don't watch any sports while working on the computer. I have a TV in the living room that I can turn stuff on if I'm watching football or whatever, but I don't... You see pictures of people with like 4 TVs or 4 different feeds going. I don't watch sports like that anymore. There was definitely a time where I did, and that was awesome, but I find it easier to focus on not having the stuff on. But I made an exception today because I do enjoy the Series Caribe, and I've been on a decent run in this first round, the round robin elimination round. And I bet the over in this last game. I thought 6.5 is about as low as you can go for a full game. And even though both of these teams are through to the next round, typically that means they'll probably pitch their bottom of the roster sort of pitchers today. No need to burn anybody before an elimination game, and that leads itself to an over, and hopefully get that over. I tweeted it out. The games will get more competitive as the knockout round gets underway. I think tomorrow. I don't think there's a day off in this tournament. But yeah, Series Caribe has been good, and my focus of the show today was solely going to be on golf. But if you've seen the news in the last 2-3 hours, you know that the news is broken that former Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores has filed a class action lawsuit against the NFL and all 32 teams, alleging racial discrimination in hiring processes across the league. And you could find the documents, you could find details and commentary on the allegations pretty much anywhere you look on online, on sports, social media, on Twitter. It's all over the place. You can see the text messages from Bill Belichick that are included in the lawsuit. But far more important than that I'm going to focus on quickly, because obviously I would like to wait a little longer. I don't have to have instant reactions to everything, and we can go over this. There'll be ample time to dissect this, because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of litigation, and Stephen Ross is at risk of potentially losing his franchise, being forced to sell. If for any reason, then the biggest allegation to me that I saw so far in this lawsuit is that Brian Flores says he alleges that in 2019, Stephen Ross offered to pay him $100,000 per loss to tank for the #1 pick, and that he would not do it. The records obviously indicate that he did not tank, that he at a certain point in the season, he switched to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they played to win, and Brian Flores did respect the integrity of the game. But that allegation itself is incredibly damning, because it is essentially a form of fixing. The owner is not immune to fixing a game, and telling the coach to lose on purpose is tantamount to match fixing, which is absolutely illegal, violates the integrity and spirit of the game, whatever you want to talk about, stuff like that. But from a betting standpoint, we bet real dollars on this league, as Rob Pizzola says. We bet our hard-earned money on this, and to know that the owner was encouraging his coach to lose on purpose is absolutely a damning allegation. And if proven to be true, it will likely cost Stephen Ross his team. He will be forced to sell. It would not surprise me. The NFL will have to come down hard on this if the allegations are proved true. It's also possible that this goes away and gets swept under the rug, but the allegations have been thrown out there. You can't put this back in the can at this point. Brian Flores is alleging some serious serious things, and he included some receipts in the suit. So we'll see how this unfolds. We'll see what actually happens the next couple days before I get into a longer rant about the NFL and their hiring practices. But before I do go on, I will quickly point out that when it comes to minority hiring in the NFL is absolutely lacking and behind in the times, and they have been for a while. And it seems that every time they try to take a step forward, they often end up taking 2 steps back. And I've pointed out several times on Twitter recently, and even when he took the job, I used David Culley as a good example, the recently fired head coach of the Houston Texans, who was given the job last year that nobody wanted. But much other higher in demand coaches turned that job down. It was given to David Culley, who was a quarterback coach for the Eagles, jumped from quarterback coach to head coach. Was given absolutely nothing to work with. Davis Mills, Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. They traded J.J. Watt, cut Whitney Merciless. He ended up on the Packers. I'm skipping a couple other guys that got cut or released or traded. I honestly don't remember all of them, but I know Culley was basically given nothing to work with. He was given a 3rd-round quarterback. And all things considered, the team developed. They played well. They improved as the season went on. They only won like 4 games or whatever. But his basically, thanks for taking a thankless job that nobody wanted was to be fired so they could pursue a better head coach after 1 year on the job. So when it comes to minority hiring, for me, it's not just enough that the NFL makes an effort to get minorities interviews. Until minorities are given the opportunity to have serious interviews for marquee jobs, you're really just kind of running around in circles, because not only does the NFL have a problem with minority hiring, but they have a problem with giving minorities actual decent jobs. You can't expect, David Culley to take the Houston job, do what he did for 1 season with the stuff he had, give him absolutely nothing to work with, and fire him, and then say, well, look, we're giving minority candidates an opportunity. Until you're interviewing and actually hiring minorities for marquee jobs in top cities, on top teams and top franchises, this is really just a circular conversation. And the NFL will continue to put stuff like end racism in the end zones and say, look at what we're doing. But it's much deeper than that. And there's also a serious issue with the fact that NFL coaches all have agents, and many agents represent multiple coaches. So none of these guys go into interviews not knowing whether or not they're already serious contenders for a job, that unless they have a really bad agent who's lying to them. Everybody knows the drill. The agents represent multiple people. They know how coaches put together their coaching staffs. There's only so many jobs. There's so many conflicts of interest with coaching and all this stuff going on that it's such a deeper issue than anything I can get into, and I'm already a couple more minutes into talking about this than I really wanted. So we'll probably talk about this a lot more as more evidence comes out, and if this ever gets into discovery, we'll get to see what happens with the NFL. I think they will probably go to great lengths to make sure that this trial never actually gets off the ground, whether it means paying Brian Flores a lot of money to go away and promising to change hiring processes or what. It remains to be seen. But yeah, the NFL is a proverbial turd in the Super Bowl punch bowl for the NFL from a PR perspective, going into the biggest game of the year at a marquee stadium, brand new, and now they have a recently fired head coach alleging that an owner was offering him $100,000 a game to lose on purpose. That's such a violation of competitive integrity. There's so many issues, and there's also the fact that Stephen Ross has investments in gambling stuff and sports gambling stuff. An owner that has investments in sports gambling stuff, paying money, offering money to his own coach to lose a game is just, uncharted territory. So it'll be interesting to see exactly where this goes. for the next week. This will obviously overshadow the Pro Bowl, which no one cares about, but let's see what happens with this going into Super Bowl weekend. I'm sure the NFL's crisis PR is currently working overtime on Tuesday afternoon right now to figure out what the hell to do. And like I mentioned, it's that weird off week before the Super Bowl. We won't be talking about the Pro Bowl around here because I don't care about the Pro Bowl. I never watch it. I'd much rather talk about golf, which we're going to talk a lot about. But a lot of people fill this week with basketball, hockey. I don't, because I'm not good at either one of those. So me betting money on those is just going to be me losing more money. Hopefully we'll find some more of the AFCOM soccer, the semifinals, I think, and there's a final left. Not necessarily sure those are going to be automatic unders, but definitely something to keep an eye on. That's been a profitable angle. We have the Series Caribe elimination rounds coming up through Friday. Very excited about that. And what else? What else do we have this week? Oh, yes, we have golf. We have 3 big men's tournaments with, normal, legitimate betting limits. Not Corn Ferry. We have PGA, DP World Tour Euro, Special Asian Tour co-sanctioned Saudi, the Bone Saw, as I'm calling it. And there's also a Corn Ferry event that I definitely would have got more into if it wasn't just available at FanDuel. If I had it available on credit, I absolutely would have bet probably 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. But instead, I only bet 1. I'll mention that at the end. And there's an LPGA event this weekend that I still haven't dove into yet. I will, as I'll get into. You'll see I ended up betting. There's really no other way to put it. I ended up betting a shitload of golf this week because I won that Luke List future. And what do you do after you win a golf future except bet a whole bunch of golf stuff the next week, especially when there's 3 major tournaments to bet and your girlfriend's going to be gone all week, so it's just me and the dogs and golf. So I ended up betting a whole bunch of stuff. I don't necessarily think that a lot of this is that much sharper than usual. I do think I was trying to grab the best numbers I could in most cases, but I did bet a lot more than I normally would. I'm in deep to golf this week, and I'll go over it all in a minute. So PGA is at Pebble Beach. The DP World Tour plays back-to-back events at Ras Al Khaimah in the UAE, and the Asian Tour has a special co-sanctioned event with the Saudis. The Bone Saw. It's drawing 20 of the top 50 in the official world golf rankings. There's $15 million in appearance fees being given out, as well as $5 million in prize money, as well as whatever other money is being given under the table on the side, what other gifts, and God knows what else the Saudis are giving, to some of these top stars to be there. I don't even want to think about it. But $15 million in appearance fees, $5 million in prize money, that's what's getting most of the top guys over to Saudi Arabia this weekend. The Corn Ferry Tour is in Panama, and the LPGA I mentioned is in Florida the 3rd week in a row. I would definitely, like I said, I'd bet Corn Ferry if I had more access to it. But just compare some of the prize pools. There's $2 million they're playing for on the European Tour. That's a lot, relative to other European Tour fields, but that's really not a lot compared to the $8.7 million at Pebble Beach, which is a pretty huge prize field for a lot of these guys playing in what amounts to a fall field event, with only 4 of the top 40 in the official world golf rankings present. So a nice chance for a lot of guys with PGA Tour cards to get bigger paychecks than they're used to this week. And then aforementioned Saudis are playing $5 million with $15 million in appearance fees, and who knows what else under the table. So that's what's drawing away the biggest players, and I'm totally fine with it because 100 to 1 pays 100 to 1, whether you win it on the Corn Ferry or the LPGA or the PGA or the Euro. And having 3 events is better than having 2 events. So it's just more golf, and it's more stuff to check in the middle of the night if one of the dogs poops on the floor. and I have to wake up and clean it up, I will have something to watch and check while I wait to fall back asleep. So with no further ado, here is my card so far for the week. It is really long, so maybe you want to take some notes if you think any of these are things you want to bet. I don't recommend betting all of them, but try to match these numbers, and maybe you'll win some money. You'll probably lose some money. I'll let you know. Like I said, I ended up betting a lot on it. So we're going to take a break real quick, and you're going to hear from our sponsor, whoever that may be. And I'll be back, and you'll hear my entire card. So stay tuned real quick. I'll be back with my bets. Yeah, with no further ado, Pebble Beach. I bet Dean Burmeister 100-1, Taylor Pendrith 100-1, 130-1. The 130 to 1's available at DraftKings. The other numbers are offshore unless indicated otherwise. Grayson Sig 115-1. My boy Minwoo Lee 66-1. That was actually a bad line. Saw I could have had him as high as 85-1 earlier today. I noticed he's just started to get bet down a little bit on Chris this evening. Chris isn't at full limits yet. They won't be for a couple more hours. Normally I don't bet this early on golf either, but there's nothing else this week really for me to do sports-wise other than some Series Kribe, so I got an earlier start on some things. I had some extra time on my hands and some little tiny extra bit of bankroll on my hands. So yeah, Minwoo Lee 66-1, took a bad number there. Maverick McNeely, I bet him 25-1. I was not initially going to bet him, but like I said yesterday, if you got a guy and you're going to leave him off your card and you're on the fence, more often than not, I always end up regretting not throwing the extra guy on my card. So I added McNeely. If he finally breaks through this week, he's going to break through with me on him. I'll be damned if it's 25-1, 66-1, or 100-1. Mito Pariah, I bet it's 60-1. I saw he opened 70, got bet to 60. I've seen it jump a little bit around. I saw it go a little higher today. Same thing. Someone bet him down on Chris. Mackenzie Hughes 60-1. Joseph Bramlett 125-1, and Wyndham Clark 110-1. Those last two I bet at DraftKings. Those were pretty big numbers. Bottom of my card guys, kind of like Luke List. I just added them as opposed to leaving them off. Not necessarily the best bets, but Wyndham Clark, I have no problem taking him at 110-1 or 100-1. He's another guy. I already saw I got bet down to 50-1 at Chris. So sharp market's already kind of hit him a little bit. So back 100-1 when he's at 50-1 at Chris, I'm always gonna take 100-1 when he's half the price at a sharper book. Top fives. I said I would bet more top fives, top tens, top 20s, and I did. I bet, again, the only way to describe this is a shitload of them. Here is the list of the top fives I bet. These are all offshore. Daniel Berger 3-1, Maverick McNeely 6-1, Matt Fitzpatrick 8-1, excuse me. Mackenzie Hughes 10-1, Mito Pariah 10-1, Lee 12-1. I have to actually check who is Lee. Which Lee did I bet? Oh yes, Minwoo Lee. Excuse me. Sometimes I forget who I bet in the middle of this when I'm reading a list. My notes are always written sort of in shorthand, so sometimes like it says Lee, it doesn't say Minwoo. I'm like, which Lee? Daniel Lee? Why would I bet Daniel Lee here? Oh, okay, Minwoo. Minwoo 12-1, top 5. Sahit Thigala 18-1, top 5. Taylor Moore 20-1. Cameron Champ 18-1. Those are my best top 5s. Top 10s, again, there's a lot of them. Patrick Cantley, even money. Daniel Berger plus 180. Maverick McNeely 3-1. Matt Fitzpatrick 4-1. Mito Pariah 5-1 plus 550. I bet that twice. Minwoo Lee 6-1. Dean Burmeister, another guy I bet twice, plus 750, 9-1. Sahith Theegala, Shez Reavie, both 850. Moore, that's Taylor Moore, 9-1. Patrick Rogers, plus 750. Cameron Champ, plus 850. Taylor Pendrith, 9-1. Wyndham Clark, Brandon Harkins, 11-1. Grayson Sigg, 11-1. Austin Smotherman, 20-1. I almost bet that twice. I like that a lot. Come to think of it, I might actually bet that again. See if I could do it while we're on the air. Maybe. I'll probably have to wait right till we're done. Don't think I'll be able to maneuver myself in quite the position to get that in. But I like Austin Smotherman, top 10, 21, enough to bet twice. Scott Piercy, also 16-1, top 10. Sorry, I'm trying to pull this up on my other screen real quick. As I've said before, a real-life gambling show is not complete without some real-life gambling in it. So, I got to pop over and actually bet what I'm trying to bet when it pops up. My computer's also going really slow right now. I can also keep telling you top 20s while I do this. My top 20s at DraftKings. Excuse me one second. Top 20s at DraftKings: Maverick McNeely plus 120, Taylor Pendrith 4-1, Wyndham Clark 5-1. The offshore top 20s. Oh man, this list, there's actually a lot of them. Offshore top 120s: Lanto Griffin plus 230, Mito Pariah plus 240, Christian Benzudihout plus 225, Ryan Palmer plus 225, Minwoo Lee plus 260, Chris Kirk plus 350, Kevin Kisner plus 225, Dean Burmeister plus 400, Shez Reavie plus 350, Cameron Champ plus 450, Taylor Moore plus 320, Davis Riley 6-1, Grayson Sigg plus 450, Joseph Bramlett, Brandon Harkins both 5-1, Scott Piercy plus 750, Ryan Moore 11-1, Austin Smotherman 10-1, Paul Barjon 11-1. Like I said, excuse me one second, got to type in Smotherman real quick over here. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Austin Smotherman, he moved. Wait, is that a top? Excuse me one second. Yeah, so I was confusing the top 10 and the top 20, which happens when you're trying to do things on the fly. Naturally, I'm logged into the wrong account, so this is just going to have to wait until I'm done. It's going to just have to wait till I'm done recording, unfortunately, but I will bet Austin Smotherman again. That's it's unfortunate, but I can't do it while I'm trying to give you all these bets. Onto the DP World Tour, the Dubai Port European World Tour, whatever. I don't know what to call it. I'm just going to go back to calling it the Euro Tour for simplicity from now on. Bernard Weisberg, I bet 20-1 offshore. This is a funny story. This is something you have to look for if you have accounts of your own. Maybe you can find the same error. I can't tell you where it is on air because maybe they'll cancel the bet if somebody notices. Somebody can always just point it out and tell them, oh, I found it from somebody. So I can't tell you where it is. It's one of my offshores, so it's probably not somewhere where most people betting have access anyways. But I got Bernard Weisberger 20-1. I think someone basically fat fingered a 2 instead of a 1. He's supposed to be 10-1. They put him 20-1. And I mean, if you're gonna, anytime you have a guy that the market thinks 10-1 or 13-1 and you fat finger him 20-1, you're just gonna have to bet it. I also bet Ryan Fox 50-1. I bet that twice. Daniel Van Tonder, I bet offshore at 80-1. I bet at 100-1 at DraftKings. I bet top 10 on Van Tonder 8-1. Top 20 plus 350 both at DraftKings. I see Van Tonder and Ryan Fox both took a little bit of money at Chris. Van Tonder's down to 60 or so. Ryan Fox down to 40. Marcus Helling Clyde, I don't know exactly how to say it. I bet 60 to 1 and 70 to 1 yesterday. I see I could have gotten as high as 85 to 1 had I waited, but I didn't. Wasn't smart enough to wait. Marcel Schneider, 130 to 1. I bet that at DraftKings. Schneider, top 10, 12 to 1. Guido Migliozzi, top 10, 9 to 1. Matthew Schmid, top 10, 6 to 1. Steven Gallagher, top 10, 18 to 1. I won a tournament with him once at like 84 to 1 odds. I think it was the Indian Open. Excuse me. The Indian Open, which will be coming up in a few weeks. I look forward to talking about that. That's one of my favorite events because anytime you send 100 golf pros to India, some of them will get diarrhea in the middle of the tournament, which leads to some interesting sort of handicapping angles trying to find out who's trying to golf with diarrhea in the middle of a tournament. We will definitely see that happen. It happens every year. Excuse me one second. This was a real long shot. I added last on the Dubai tour. But Miguel Angel Jimenez, who is mostly playing on the senior tour these days, one of the kings of swag on the golf tour. Bet him 200 to 1 to win. Very small. These aren't like huge serious bets. Very small to win. On Miguel Angel Jimenez, 200 to 1. If you have FanDuel, I saw 270 to 1. extra good price there. 40 to 1 top 5, 18 to 1 top 10, 7 to 1 top 20. This isn't the best field in the world. This is actually not very good field at all. So Miguel Angel could do his thing and smoke a cigar out there, have a good time. I'm sure he's probably just going to go out there and have a good time and try to make the cut, make some money. But if he wants to get that top 10, 18 to 1, he wants to win 200 to 1. I got expenses that 200 to 1's always helps. So go Miguel Angel. I'll be rooting for you over all the other guys, but I'm not expecting much. That's my Euro really long shot of the week, but sometimes long shots of the week win. Also, in general, I noticed the Westgate Superbook this week had a lot of good prices on golf. If you're looking to try to match some of the prices that I listed, that's a good place to start this week if you have access to them. Otherwise, the final main event of the week, which features, like I said, 20 of the top 50 golfers in the world, is the Saudi Arabian Bonesaw. I'm not sure if I should call it the Bonesaw Classic, the Bonesaw Memorial, or the Bonesaw Invitational. I'm currently leaning towards the Bonesaw Invitational because they're paying these massive appearance fees, so it's like an invite event. So I'm going to go with Bonesaw Invitational, I think is the preferred nomenclature. I made 4 to win bets here. No top 10s, no top 5s, no top 20s. Most of my money, like I said, is on those first 2 tournaments, but I found a couple lines here that I thought were worthy of picking off. The shortest being Bryson DeChambeau, 12 to 1. I see he's actually up to second favorite at Chris behind Dustin Johnson. He's about 10 to 1. So he's my short bet. Short bet for the Saudi, the Bonesaw. J.H. Kim, Jung-Hoo Kim, 50 to 1. I bet that yesterday. Jonathan Vegas, 60 to 1. I bet. I've seen some wild numbers on him: 45 to 1, 35 to 1, 25 to 1. All out there, so the 60 looks good. And then Matt Wolff with his crazy swing. I got 55 to 1. Wasn't initially on my radar. I saw him starting to move at Chris, and I said, well, if I'm already in, far too much this week, might as well go one more. And then Corn Ferry, like I said, it's the Panama Championship. They're playing in Panama. I really probably could have picked off five names here, but I'm really already seriously deep into the golf this week, and the one name that stood out the most was John Pack at 180 to 1. Those are similar odds to what he was getting in PGA fields in the fall swing. He's a USC graduate, recent guy. Obviously, he's trying to get his PGA Tour card, make a name for himself on the Corn Ferry Tour, get a promotion. 180 to 1, a very big price. I just decided I needed one more golf bet. So John Pack, 180 to 1 is my Corn Ferry bet. I know Corn Ferry is available at FanDuel. I don't know how many people have access to other books that have Corn Ferry. I surprisingly do not have any other books right now that have Corn Ferry up. So prevented me from going really deep on this, and that's probably fine because I'm already several $1,000s into golf bets this week. So hopefully a lot of these guys contend. Gonna need some top 10s, some top 20s. Hopefully gonna have a winner or two outright, but really gonna need some strong finishes this week from a lot of these guys because I'm really deep into to the golf. Going back on my Luke List profits, I've put like 75% of them back in play just on these bets. So should be a fun weekend, and there's still live betting, there's still matchups to look at, a whole lot more. I'll be back tomorrow with more bets, probably more Super Bowl talk. We didn't even talk about that today, but there's a lot going on in the sports world, never stops. So tune in tomorrow or whenever my next episode gets released. Probably going to be tomorrow. Thanks for listening.